In April 25th, 1973, at around 9:30 p.m., 50-year-old Henry McDaniel sat alone in his living room. The evening calm disrupted by a peculiar scratching at his front door. Frowning, he stood up, curiosity and caution guiding him to the door. As he opened it, the dim porch light revealed something that made his breath catch. A creature unlike anything he'd ever seen. I'm Mr. Nocturne, and tonight, we'll delve into the chilling events that unfolded in Enfield, Illinois, in 1973. This is the true story of the Enfield Horror. Henry McDaniel was not a man prone to fantasy. A military veteran and longtime Enfield resident, he was known by neighbors as calm and collected. But what he saw that night left him shaken. The creature in his front yard didn't belong in any wildlife manual. It stood roughly 4.5 feet tall, with leathery gray skin, short, almost human-like arms sprouting from its chest, and 3 legs. Its eyes were massive and pink, like flashlights in the dark. Henry didn't hesitate. He raised his pistol and fired 4 shots. One, he believed, made contact. The creature let out a loud hiss. He described it as something between a cat and a wild animal, and bounded away, clearing 50 feet in just 3 leaps toward the railroad tracks near his home. When police arrived, they found physical evidence. The siding on McDaniel's house was scratched, and on the ground, they discovered footprints. Not ordinary ones. These were strange. 6 toe pads, spaced oddly. Investigators noted the tracks were similar to dog prints, but not from any known species. One of the tracks was notably smaller, possibly from a 3rd limb. That same night, just 30 minutes earlier, another local boy named Greg Garrett claimed he had encountered the same creature. Greg, just 10 years old, said it stepped on his feet while he was playing in the yard. It shredded his sneakers with sharp claws before running off. But weeks later, Greg retracted his statement, admitting it was a prank to tease Henry McDaniel and a reporter who had come to town. Yet the timing of the 2 reports and the similarities in their descriptions raised questions. Police found torn shoes and matching 3-toed footprints at Garrett's property. If it was just a hoax, how did he fake physical evidence? The town of Enfield, with a population barely over 700, was quiet and remote. But within days, it was swarmed by reporters, amateur investigators, and curious thrill-seekers. The Mount Vernon Register-News published Henry's story on April 27th. TV crews followed. Locals were divided. Some laughed it off. Others locked their doors early. 2 weeks later, on May 6th, at around 3 a.m., McDaniel was woken by the sound of dogs barking. Looking out toward the tracks behind his home, he spotted the creature again, this time walking slowly, as if surveying the area. He didn't shoot. He just watched as it moved along the rails and faded into the dark. Later that same day, a group of out-of-town college students, armed with rifles and cameras, claimed they had also seen a gray, hairy figure near the railroad embankment. 2 of them fired. They believed they hit it, but the creature didn't fall. It didn't even flinch. It escaped into the woods without a trace. Police arrested the group for hunting violations. Around this time, Rick Rainbow, a news director from WWKI Radio, arrived to investigate. Along with several witnesses, he claimed to see an ape-like creature near an abandoned house outside Enfield. He also recorded what he described as high-pitched shrieks from the woods. That recording was later played for cryptozoologist Loren Coleman, who was in Enfield conducting his own investigation. Coleman said the sound was unlike anything he'd ever heard. High, wavering, and unnatural. That tape has never been released to the public. As the weeks passed, the mystery grew. Sightings of strange creatures spread to neighboring towns. In Murfreesboro, Illinois, about 40 miles southeast, residents reported seeing a large, white, mud-covered beast near a boat dock. The creature was said to be over 7 feet tall, smelled of rot, and left behind 12-inch footprints. It screamed, a piercing, painful sound. Dogs reportedly refused to approach the area afterward. Other reports followed. On June 26th, 2 more witnesses in Murfreesboro saw a pale, dirty white creature with glowing eyes and a foul odor. Their dog tracked the scent to a barn but wouldn't go inside. Days later, a group of teenagers in Mount Vernon described an encounter with a 6-foot creature, muscular but disfigured. Beady eyes, flat nose, no hair on its chest. It fled when approached. Then, at a traveling carnival near town, workers claimed an ape-like figure appeared near the pony rides, only to vanish as they gave chase. By November, the fear had spread so far that Murfreesboro canceled Halloween trick-or-treating out of concern for children's safety. This wasn't just an isolated sighting anymore. It had become a regional panic. Some believed the monster was a hoax or the result of mass hysteria. In 1978, researchers at Western Illinois University conducted a study on the Enfield incident. They concluded that the media had exaggerated the events, and locals had filled in the blanks with fear and imagination. Only 3 first-hand accounts were ever confirmed, they said. The rest, hearsay. But that didn't explain the physical evidence, the scratches, the footprints, the bullets that seemingly had no effect. There were other theories. Some speculated the creature was an exotic pet, maybe a kangaroo or some kind of mutated primate. The third leg, they said, could have been a tail. But Henry McDaniel had lived in Australia. He'd owned a kangaroo, and he swore this wasn't one. An anthropology student proposed it might be a wild ape escaped from a traveling circus. There were reports dating back to 1941 in nearby Mount Vernon about a leaping creature that killed livestock and left strange tracks behind. And then there were those who believed it wasn't from this world. McDaniel himself said, if they do find it, they will find more than one, and they won't be from this planet. The creature's unnatural speed, glowing eyes, vanishing footprints, and resistance to gunfire all pointed to something beyond our understanding. Then came the most chilling update of all. In November 2022, nearly 50 years after the original encounter, a new sighting surfaced. A Reddit user reported that their ex-girlfriend and her daughter, while driving near Terre Haute, Indiana, just 2 hours from Enfield, almost hit something in the road. They described it as short, gray, with 3 legs and glowing eyes. Neither of them had ever heard of the Enfield Monster. When they stopped the car, the creature was gone. But what lingered was a foul stench, like something decaying. A few yards away, they found prints. Large, dog-like, with 6 toe pads. They went home. They didn't file a report. But the story, posted online, reignited a fire under the case. If this creature was real, and if it still existed, then it had survived for decades without being caught, recorded, or even fully understood. Was it hiding in the woods, only emerging when the time was right? Was it part of something larger, some phenomenon linked to the old railroad tracks, the UFO sightings, the mutilated livestock? Was Enfield just the first town unlucky enough to notice? Lorne Coleman once said the thing that disturbed him most wasn't the monster itself, it was the atmosphere. The fear was real, the witnesses were believable, and despite years of investigation, no one had ever disproved Henry McDaniel's story. Henry passed away years ago. Greg Garrett grew up and moved on. The tracks behind the McDaniel house are still there. Overgrown, quiet, empty. But some nights, locals say you can hear it again. That shriek, that hiss. A sound that doesn't belong in any forest. A sound that reminds them the Enfield horror may have never left.